We are living in the golden era of tabletop RPGs. In the wake of the open gaming license scandal, whereby Wizards of the Coast de facto tried to put almost every independent tabletop RPG publisher out of business, they have, in a twist of delicious irony, caused hordes of players to instead flock to those very same independent TTRPGs. Witness the rise of Shadowdark and Knave and Brancalonia. Observe Paizo sell 7 months of Pathfinder 2 core rulebooks in just a few weeks. Players all across the globe who previously would only play D&D are now trying out new game systems. However, there is a problem, a dire problem, and that's what I want to talk about today. Now, before we jump in, if you're looking for a change of pace in your fantasy games and would like to play 5th edition as a lazy swindler, low-life scoundrel, listless dabbler, or greedy knave, Brancalonia, the first ever spaghetti fantasy, is absolutely amazing. In fact, 4-time Emmy award-winning Acheron Games just released their latest Kickstarter, which delivers 3 new Brancalonia resources. First, the Spaghetti Fantasy Bestiary, filled with 100 new monsters typical of Italian folklore, legends, and myths. Second, the Spaghetti Fantasy Gazetteer, filled with cities, fortresses, and places of adventure based on real Italian locations and events. 10 new backgrounds and 3 new playable species. And third, Furious Lands and Other Jobs, which contains an entire campaign with adventures inspired by Ariosto's Orlando Furioso and a dozen short adventures. Oh, and by the way, even if you aren't using the Brancalonia setting, all the cool stuff in these 3 new books will still work in your 5th edition games. Check out the Brancalonia Bestiary and Atlas Kickstarter at the link below. And don't forget, if you back in the first 72 hours, you're gonna get a free miniature. Okay, so when I go to conventions, I make it a point to try out new game systems. For me, it's one of the few opportunities I get to do so. I've played systems such as Call of Cthulhu, Castles and Crusades, Dungeon Crawl Classics, and more. And since I'm playing a variety of game systems with lots of different game masters, I get a good feel for both the systems and game master styles. However, there is one other thing that I have learned over the years. And to try to explain this, I want to tell you my Call of Cthulhu story. There's a convention that I've been going to every year for perhaps the last 5+ years or so, and there's a game master there who runs Call of Cthulhu games, and he's pretty darn good at it, in my opinion. I've played in several games with him, and they're always very enjoyable. So every time I go to that particular convention, you better believe I sign up for one of his games. However, this one time I didn't sign up for events soon enough, and his tables were all full. So I jumped into a different Call of Cthulhu game run by a different game master. And boy, let me tell you, that was a big mistake. I mean, it felt like a mistake. I probably learned something from it. But let's just say it was a mistake. But my point is this: the game was horrible. And I think we all intuitively know that a game master, and the other players at the table for that matter, can make or break any tabletop RPG, regardless of the game system you are playing. So this is what I'm driving at. This is my urgent message for all D&D players. As you venture forth and explore other game systems, please strive to do this one thing. Don't judge a game system by the game master. Perhaps you're trying out Pathfinder 2 and you're like, this sucks. Well, it might be tempting to lay the blame at the feet of the game system itself, but what if you just got a crummy game master? You see, it may not be the game system's fault at all. Your game master might just suck, or it might be the other players for that matter. And if you're part of a friend group trying out a new system for the first time and your usual game master is running the new system, remember, there is a learning curve for picking up and running new systems. You gotta give your game master time to get a feel for things. Of course, there are games in the old system that they know like the back of their hand are gonna be better. You gotta give them time. For example, I'm running Pathfinder 2 for my in-person players in our Thieves Abound campaign, which you can watch right here on my channel. And at times, things are rough for us. However, I'm also new to running Pathfinder 2, so of course my games aren't going to be as good as they usually might. One thing in particular that I'm still trying to figure out is encounter creation. I've been using lots of challenging solo bad guys with only maybe a couple mooks or so. And the result is the bad guys are insanely challenging. I mean, I did this all the time in my D&D 5th edition games with absolutely no problem. But Pathfinder 2 is a different system, and I'm discovering that what worked before isn't quite working now as I would expect. So as a game master, I'm actively working on tweaking things so that our games are as enjoyable as they were before. And by the way, I had a realization the other day for how I might fix this particular issue, and I think it's going to improve things a lot for us. But my hope is that my players are careful not to judge Pathfinder 2 by what they've experienced thus far. I mean, I'm still learning and improving how I run the system. You see, even veteran game masters need time to adapt to new systems before their games are on par. And now I have a very targeted message for my fellow YouTubers and influencers. I know a lot of us are trying new game systems, Pathfinder 2, Dungeon Crawl Classics, Shadowdark, etc. My heartfelt request is that we are careful with what we say, bearing in mind that what we communicate in our videos and live streams and tweets carries a lot of weight. We should always be cognizant of the impact our words might have on a company and its employees that create a game system. Sure, maybe we didn't enjoy X game system when we tried it out. Maybe it wasn't our cup of tea. However, maybe, just maybe, it was because of our game master and not the system itself. Look, I'm not trying to tell anyone how to do their job. All I'm saying is that for us, it's important to not judge a game system by the game master, especially if we plan to do videos or talk publicly about our experiences. Anyway, that's just what I think. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Oh, and if you missed out on our Secret Art of Game Mastery Kickstarter, pre-orders are now available for a limited time at the link below. Now, if you want to learn how to make a villain for your tabletop RPG that your players will never forget, click right here. And until next time, happy game mastering.